morning, everybody, and welcome to Elevensies, the late morning show with Lisa and Anton. I'm Anton.
And I'm Lisa.
Well, would you look at that? So we'll see how everybody's doing this morning. Apparently, we have a perfect stream. My watch is telling me we're actually live on the Book of Face as well.
All right, so if you're joining us on Facebook, we can't see your comments because we can only really man one computer at a time and handle all the things we're handling. So if you're joining us on Facebook, please come on over to YouTube if you want to ask a question or make a comment that we can see. And periodically throughout today's broadcast, we will talk about coming on over to YouTube and liking and subscribing and commenting. So it is Monday, March 28th. Time is marching on.
Yes.
And
Ain't it?
I don't know, but I think that Mother Nature is having some kind of crazy mood swings. But I think that's the way. March is usually very up and down. You never know if you're going to get sunshine or snow or what. So it's been a wild couple of weeks. Good morning, Wendy, and I can't see the next name.
Amber. It's
Amber.
Amber's joined. Amber's figured out the tube of you.
Yay.
How about that? That's pretty
right.
cool.
So
I love it. Let me. Oh, hello, Savannah.
You know me, I'm always watching the sky, and I've written the tarot scopes for April. And while all of the planets are direct for the entire month, Pluto is going to go retrograde at the end of the month for its last little tour of Capricorn before it moves on into Aquarius. But right now, in the early morning, if you're up before dawn, I might stay up that late, but I don't usually get up that early. You can see Saturn, Venus, and Mars. They're all in Aquarius. And the crescent tiny crone crescent is in Aquarius now too. But that's going to be moving into the dark moon phase in Pisces. And then on the 1st, we'll have our new moon in Aries.
How about that?
Our new moon in Aries. Aries the ram, the horns of the ram, and also we could see that symbol as kind of being the ovaries of fertility for spring.
Spring sprung.
And then April, the end of April is going to go out with a bit of a bang because you've got Pluto retrograde and you've got the 31st, you have the second new moon of the month, but that'll be in Taurus with an eclipse, just for fun. So today we thought we'd talk about the moon and about
some Easter traditions,
yeah,
maybe.
and our
Let's be
goddess
controversial.
Caridwen, yeah. Let's be controversial. Yes. We know that we said, I think last week or the week before, that the Christian Easter is calculated by the moon, right? That we have the spring or the vernal equinox, which was the 20th.
This year. Yep.
This year, yep.
Yep.
And then Easter's quite late because it's the first Sunday after the first full moon after the equinox. So we're just coming for the new moon on the 1st. So it'll be 2 weeks after that where we have, a fortnight, 2 weeks after that where we have the full moon and then Easter. So we're definitely in that spring fertility, greening, right? Vernal, verdant, green equinox.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the things that we find in our pagan traditions is that rabbit is sacred to the goddess.
Why on earth would that be?
Well, it's definitely got an animal medicine of fertility, I should say, right? We know that rabbits multiply.
They breed like rabbits, don't they?
And if we're into the tarot, which we kind of are, we can see that the Queen of Pentacles, the mother of Earth, right, which is also a prosperity or fertility symbol, has a little rabbit down by her throne. So rabbit is definitely tied to fertility, to estrogen, eostra, ostara, Easter. East is even tied to the word estrogen. And this is the spring equinox.
Am I allowed a little one of those radical crazy diversion?
Absolutely.
Okay, so for those of you guys that don't know, we do something called Tarot Talk. We put up a new episode every Wednesday. I want you to go check out after this. I want you to check out, like, was it episode 4, which is card 3, the Empress?
The Empress.
And you will notice that you've got this stream appearing there. And I'm getting the old confirmation chills. This is one of these things. Now, you might have heard the word Donbass of late quite a lot. Yeah.
Probably.
In Welsh, Don or Dawn is actually the mother of Earth, and the Queen of Pentacles in Christopher's
is the dawn, yeah.
deck is the Dawn, and you actually sat for that card.
Right. And you think about the word dawn and dawn.
Right.
Right?
But wherever you get a river coming from the east, yeah, it's interesting that you call that. So that, like Doncaster in the north of England, the River Don, spelt the same way, D-O-N, comes from the east. The River Don that flows into the Sea of Azov around that area of the Donbass. You know, it's really interesting because it's about the coming light, the dawn. It's got the same root when you go into it. Etymologically, I can't even. Etymologically. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, when you look at how the words come from.
There you go.
When you look at where the words come from, you see that that it's got the same root. You know, Proto-Celtic, Indian, Mid-Asian, all that sort of stuff. It's all strangely kind of connected.
Even, Latin languages. Yeah.
Oh, let's not talk about the Romans.
Anyway.
But yes, the coming light, and what's
and
the
the sun
legend?
rises in the east, doesn't it?
Easter, okay, and he is risen. Yeah, he's risen from what? What do we mean by that? Is it now that light has overcome the dark winter?
Oh, could it be?
Could
it be?
No, I know you want to. Could it be Satan?
No,
it's nothing to do. No.
Oh dear.
No.
It has to do with cycles.
Oh, absolutely. And we honour
cycles.
cycles, because if we're not cognizant of cycles, which is why we have this mythology to hammer it into our thick
Well,
heads.
because
so
we are
forget.
part of nature. We've forgotten that we're part of nature.
Oh, yeah, well,
I mean,
we sort of isolated ourselves from it, trying to destroy it right now.
If we really kind of think about it, for the last few weeks, there's been a stirring of energy.
I felt it.
Inside of us and inside the earth. And if we do any animal husbandry, like we keep chickens. So you notice that the chickens are starting to recognize the light is back, and they're laying some more eggs. Eggs. Oh, Easter eggs. Oh, what's that all about?
Well, let's have a thought. It is. I'm just going to nip over here. It looks like the comment bit now is working. And live stream studio have been
good
working
morning,
here.
everybody.
Yeah, we can see that. But let's
and I'll
see.
take this moment while he's jotting around here to say that if you are joining us on Facebook, we can't see your comments because we have our YouTube channel up. So if you want to make some comments, hop on over to YouTube and like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, I can tell there are a bunch of people watching us on the Book of Face, because live stream, if you're watching, your viewer count is still off. Okay, you've got your comments bit working now. I love this software, by the way. It's really, really good.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, Live Stream Studio, which is what
the
we
geek
used to
part of
do.
it all.
Well, no, it's great because it's really cool. You can use multiple cameras with it and all sorts of stuff. But it's really handy for managing your live stream events. So we do. That's what we use it for. And you can go to multiple destinations with it. But so right now we're going to Facebook. We're broadcasting simultaneously live on Facebook and live on the Tube of You. The viewer count that we see on our little idiot monitor here, so Lisa and I don't go wandering off into the weeds, which we often do. So that tells us how many viewers we've got and what our stream status is like and the time and all that fun stuff. However, I'm now gone over to the YouTube studio on the computer here, and I can see straight off the viewer count does not match. So that is just the viewers on Facebook. So we add them to that, and that's what we got, because there's a lot more watching us on the
because
Tube
we have
of
quite
You.
a few comments here, yeah.
We do. We do. So I have to
right.
write back to them.
And say,
Anyway.
you still don't have it right.
It's almost there.
Anyway, so again, if you're on Facebook, we can't see you but we assume that you're there. And if you want to come over to YouTube, if you have a question or you want to comment, come on over to the YouTube station, because we're monitoring that. We only have one computer to do the monitoring with at a time right now, so that's good.
Well, it's tricky when you have too much stuff going on.
Too much stuff going on. All right, so we were focusing on the Aries new moon, because on Mondays we always talk about the moon. So new moon in Aries. Aries is the pioneer, kind of syncs up with the spring. The spring equinox is the first day of Aries, which was March 20th. People being born right now are born under the sign of Aries. And it's just like this fire in the head, fire in the heart, stirring of energy, get things moving, get things going. I would caution, though, to wait if you're going to start doing a lot of gardening. Now is really not the time to be doing that outside just yet, unless you have a greenhouse. Try not to disturb too many of the hibernating things till we get past the, frost. But anyway, so the moon, Ostara, Easter, the rabbit, the eggs.
What's it all to do with the resurrection of Christ?
He died for 3 days and rose again, just like the moon is going to. So the moon will be dark moon in Pisces. So that might give us a little bit of insight into our shadow selves, or a little, I don't know, I would say self-pity or drama for the next couple of days until we see the crescent moon in Aries. What you got there?
We got a bunch of comments. I was just looking while you're chatting. I don't want to interrupt.
No, but you could say.
Well, we got a whole bunch of people saying all sorts of fun stuff.
Oh yeah, Aries children are interesting.
Yeah, bags of smoking straight up the middle, Gilda.
My one-liner for Aries is ready, shoot, aim.
That's it. George!
Because sometimes they don't always think about it.
Yeah.
But we thought we would also take this opportunity to talk about the Ogham lunation and the lunation that's happening for the Aries new moon will bring in willow.
Oh, now.
And willow is a tree that is associated with resurrection. So it's interesting how all these mythologies kind of tie into the language of nature, right? And if we think about it, you see that ancient people watched the cycles of nature, they watched the cycles of the stars, and these things kind of built around what was actually happening. And like Anton said, it was easy to remember the myth because it was what was happening in your life. The gods and goddesses were opening you to making.
I just had a download, but it's not
awesome.
for public consumption.
Okay.
It's one. I just love it. We get
It'll
these
appear in a
occasions.
book later.
Yeah, no, it's something Lisa and I are going to talk about a lot probably after this broadcast, because it's just one of those sudden realizations. I love it though. I love our lives. I love the fact that
People would not believe it. They really would.
we just get so much weird stuff come out of left field when you're doing something, and it's similar. There's as you learn, so you teach. As you teach, so you learn.
Absolutely.
So here's Lisa talking about the progression of the lunar zodiac. And suddenly I just got one straight across the brow that I've not clocked before, but it's kind of important. We'll figure that one out.
Awesome.
Ooh.
That's awesome. I look forward to hearing that.
Okay.
All right. So in the Stuart tradition and in many Wiccan traditions, Caradwen is associated with the moon. And many times she appears to people in like a silvery, shimmery gown. And since we're talking about rabbit and the connection of nature to animal medicine, right? When we teach shamanism, we always talk about, again, the nature of the animal. So you can see what is being offered to you, what strength or what is being pointed out to you, what weakness might be pointed out to you, and what strength there is offered in the animal medicine, right? And again, we see ancient people watching how animals live and learning from that. When were they hibernating? When were they harvesting? When were they, having babies? They knew that animals were more in tune with the cycles of nature. And animals were very well revered because, they could burrow into the ground, they could survive, some could fly.
Oh, wow.
Man couldn't fly, so
We've been trying for ages.
we have tons of mythology regarding birds and augury, and I think we've told you before that the word inauguration comes from Greek, where the augur would predict who is going to be the successor
Quartering
politically.
the heavens with his auger's wand.
Yeah. So the word inauguration comes from bird augury. And there's so many things that we still have in our society today that are connected to animal medicine. So we thought today we would talk about the story of Caridwen, Awen, and Taliesin.
Wow.
And there are some amazing things that have to do with other things when you listen to the story with different ears. So I was having a conversation with one of the people in our community who's going to be leading the full moon. And I said, please tell the story of Caridwen. And she's like, really? It's been told so many times.
Not enough.
I said, well,
Not enough.
it's like anything else. You see from where you're standing. So whoever is going to hear it that time may hear something different or new. So what I'd like to point out before we start the story, because I'm going to let Anton tell the story.
Oh,
He's
okay.
very good at it. I'd like for you to think about the different animal medicines and what kind of elemental energy they may be connected to. And I'd like for you to think about the characters in the story, of which there are 7.
Yeah.
So there are 7 characters in the story, which could certainly represent planets, right? The 7 visible planets. They could represent the motives of the chakras, or the energies and jobs of the chakras. And just as you listen along, you might want to just jot down these animals or these participants. And I may interrupt once in a while to kind of point something out for your note-taking or later investigating.
So there you go. I don't think I've had enough coffee yet, but I'll give it a go. So are you sitting comfortably? We'll have a story then, because I love stories, and I have to tell you, I think Caridwen's story is probably one of the most profoundly moving ones, and certainly for Lisa and I, it was individually and collectively. I think the way that we stumbled into Welsh mythology, and it's very much part of the fabric of the land, and we've had the luxury, I guess, of living in Wales. For the first 10 years of our relationship, Lisa and I commuted. We'd spend a month here in New York and a month back in mid-Wales. We had a little property surrounded by some absolutely beautiful, beautiful countryside and very, very few people. So we were allowed to very much connect with the nature of nature itself. And certainly Lisa and I learned so much just by slowing down and getting in touch with nature again. And it's interesting the way that things go, because we always tell people, I know there's a little bit of a preamble here, but I think it's worth it. We always tell people when they come to the Craft of the Wise, you realise not everything is the way it appears, which is why you're kind of there in the first place. Well, nor is it necessarily otherwise, but definitely there's more to it. There's more to it. So you start knocking on doors, and eventually one of the doors swings open, somebody reaches out, lassos you around the neck and drags you in, kind of thing. And that's the thing. Once you have that personal initiation, once you become aware and vaguely cognizant of the existence of the mysteries, even if you don't know the mysteries yet, because you can only experience them. Everything changes. You can't go back to being...
You can't unknow it.
Yeah, you can't go back to being blissfully unaware, just like you can't uninitiate an explosion. You just can't. So you can't go back to being blissfully unaware. So it's really wild that at that point doors started to open, and then sometime shortly after that we came across Christopher's book, and then Lisa reached out to
quite
Christopher.
some time after that.
But it just all flowed from there, and then it's like
Caradwin sent him because we'd
yeah.
been working with her for so long. We had already made the Caradwin statue by
Yeah.
the time we found Christopher. But that certainly opened up a whole other level. Yeah.
He when he came, we love to spoil our guests. We you know, and I guess that's the Celts in us, because hospitality is so important, isn't it? And so we hung a flag for him, you know, the Welsh flag outside our place.
We're
and all
flying that today. Too.
We are, curiously enough. Yeah, we put it up Saint
We rotate
David's
them
Day.
around, but we
Yeah.
put it up on St. David's Day.
We haven't taken it down yet, but excuse me. So yeah, when he came, he looked at you and he cried, and when you took him into the annex, and he said, "I've come 3,500 miles to bring you Caradwin, and she's still here. She's here already."
Yeah.
So yeah, we love Christopher. He's coming back this year. Anyway,
Looking forward to his visit.
Yes. So
But I want you to think about these characters. Right, we have Tegid, which is Caradwin's husband.
Tegid Voyal.
We have Gwion Bach, which is the little boy that she gets to do servitude. We have Caradwin,
Yep.
who's doing all of this work. We have Criéfiu, her beautiful daughter. We have Avagvi,
Morven
her
Avagthi.
Morven Avagvi, her
Yeah.
darkness son. We have Morda, the blind man, who.
You were introducing the characters before I even started, but that's.
But I
okay.
want them to write these down and think about their
Write down the
roles.
characters. You
Yep.
can point me when I forget them.
Morda the blind man, and then of course Taliesin in the end. So those are the 7 characters: Tegid Voel, Gwion Bach, Caradwin, Criéfiu, Morthen Avagvi, Morda, and Taliesin.
So, long time ago, or perhaps sometime in the future, there's this wee place called Llyn Tegid, which is a beautiful, beautiful lake, and is now known as, in contemporary times, Lake Bala. And it's just sort of in North Wales a little bit, and in Snowdonia National Park. It's a very peculiar lake, in so much as that, it's very, very deep.
It's like a chasm in the
Yes.
center.
But it's you wouldn't know it to look at it. It's this long and deep, and it's cradled by the land. Lakes have to be contained by the land. The land shapes the lake, but the lake governs the land, if you will. There's that interesting. Anyway, around this area at Llyn Tegid, there was this couple, Caradwin, and her husband Tegid Voyal, and he was completely like me. Well, possibly even less hair, but you know, he was definitely.
Well, some say he's the lake itself. Don't
Well,
they?
he's the land that contains the lake,
Lake,
perchance.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know, because he's with it, quite bare on top. As the saying goes. But anyway, they had a son and a daughter. Now, the daughter was quite profoundly beautiful, Criéfiu. She was the epitome of absolute gorgeousness, serenity and grace, and she obviously is going to fare well.
She's
in
going to
life.
do well, yeah. She's
You
going to
know,
marry up and have a good time.
Well, she's going to have to beat them off with a crappy stick, frankly. But her brother, Caradwin's son, Morven, not quite so handsome. A very hairy fellow, in so much as it was like all over him, in fact.
Well, his name translates to utter darkness.
Well, yes, he was not so easy on the eye as his sister. And so he'd earned this misnomer of Avagthi, which means utter darkness, because his countenance was quite horrible. However, You'll find more about him if you dig into later mythology.
And the Battle of the Trees and
oh
things like
yeah,
that.
he's not all utter darkness, let me tell you. But
No,
he was a little
an
bit
amazing warrior.
yeah, he was a little bit scary to look at, which was one of his main strengths in battle. I think. but yeah, he was so. So his mum, being mums, you know, he's got a face only a mother could love, frankly. So Ceridwen consulted the books of the physicians of Mothervi to come up with a very, very cunning spell, a wart cunning spell, if you will, that involved collecting herbs at certain times of the year and putting them into a boiling cauldron at exactly the right moment in time and boiling them for the exact right amount of time. And this is, you know, there's a lot going on here. She's got to go out and collect all these herbs.
Right,
They've
roots
got to
when
be
things
kept,
are in the root,
yeah.
bud when thing is in bud.
They've got to be
You
gathered at exactly the right time, but at the same time, the cauldron's got to be maintained at a constant boil for a year and a day. A year and a day, eh? Ooh. So she obviously can't do everything. I mean, everybody can do everything. You just can't do it all at the same
Right,
time.
if she's out in the woods collecting something, the cauldron
She figures,
might
well,
not.
I need somebody to look after the fire, and I need somebody to actually stir the cauldron. So she engages the services of Morda, who's a blind guy, to tend the fire. Maybe he can feel, you know, he doesn't see, but he can feel hot and cold, and he's more cognizant of the temperature that way, perhaps.
I like to think of him as the hermit because he's blind and the hermit's eyes are closed. And there's
He too has a light for all to see.
Exactly.
Interesting. So Morda tends the fire, and this wee lad, Gwion Bach, who comes from Lanvacaranian, believe it or not. Gwion Bach is engaged by Ceridwen to stir the cauldron. This is his whole gig. And so he's there stirring away. And it's getting close to the appointed time where this brew is going to be ready. And when this brew, whoever should taste it, will immediately be instilled with the essence of Owen. The knowledge of all that was, all that is, and all that ever shall be.
That's a huge responsibility.
And this is what Ceridwen wanted to give Avagthi, so that he had perhaps a greater station in life.
Right, if he knew everything that ever was, all that is, and all that shall be, then of course he would be moved up in station, wouldn't he?
Surely you would have to be sage counsel, and the whole world would seek him out, you know.
All of the bards
would definitely seek this wisdom. So this is what Ceridwen, as a loving mother, tried to do for her son. Now, the best laid plans, as the saying goes, because just as it's getting close to the appointed time, and Gwion Bach is stirring away, and Avagthi's by the side of the cauldron, and Ceridwen is just gathering the last few of the herbs in preparation of this getting there.
Oh, I thought she fell asleep.
Well, she might be.
Because the brew is ready.
The brew is so close to ready, but you always got to primp it a little bit. We can primp this a little. You always do the same. Here, let's primp that. That's going to be a little bit nicer. A little bit of bonification, you know.
But unless the out.
But the brew is definitely ready, but she's just like final preparations, maybe gathering a cup or something for her son, you know.
All right.
There's just her attention is. She would never fall asleep, but her attention is diverted. That's what I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Her attention is diverted, and Gwion is stirring the brew when all of a sudden, just underneath it, is this little bubbling rises. 3 drops burst the surface and go running straight up in the air, form a perfect arc, and land on his thumb. Instinctively, he places his thumb in his mouth to prevent him being scalded by the brew. Oops.
Ruh-roh.
Guess what happens now? Instantly, he is instilled with the Owen. The knowledge of all that was, all that is, and all that shall be. Instantly he knows Ceridwen is desperately upset and will rip him limb from limb.
Because he's stolen Avagthi's brew that Ceridwen has worked on for a year and a day.
And so he takes off. But recognizing he's not fast enough on his young legs, He thinks I will turn into an extremely fast animal, and he transforms himself into a hare, whereupon Caredwin transforms herself into a greyhound bitch. And
So I want you to think about those two animal medicines. Sorry.
I can't get a run going here. Keep
Right?
going.
So rabbit, when we look at a rabbit's animal medicine, the reason rabbit darts and runs around is because rabbit holds a tremendous amount of fear, right? And dogs are fiercely loyal. So it doesn't matter where he goes, she's going to avenge her son.
It's interesting that I'm going to just, lovely tangent, but white flags and surrender, both white-tailed deer and rabbits, when they're running, show off this white. It isn't necessarily surrender. It can actually off-put your enemy that's getting them, because it's blinding white, especially when,
The sun is
they're very
shining bright,
close
yeah.
to, like, being very funneled, total vision, when the adrenaline gets into bloodstreams, the vision tunnels. A blast of white is just like flashing out a sniper's night sight, if you will, kind of thing. So there's a purpose for it. Anyway, so he turns into the hare, and he's away. He's away, but she turns into the greyhound bitch, and she's
Closing
gaining on him. Just as she's about to snatch him into her jaws and rip him limb from limb, he leaps up and dives straight into the river, instantly transforming into a salmon. However, Caradwin transforms into an otter bitch, and away she goes after him again, weaving faster than you could possibly imagine, tearing down on this salmon, about to rip it limb from limb, when all of a sudden the salmon bursts out and turns and transforms into a little wren, tiny wren in the sky, but she transforms into a hawk. And she's chasing him around, and she's about to catch him and rip him limb from limb, when dives out straight into a pile of grain and transforms into a single grain. I'm safe now. Surely that can't be, that she could find me. But oh no, Caredwin herself transforms into a black crested hen and gobbles up the entire pile of grain.
And now something very interesting has happened. Her original plan was revenge. She wanted to avenge her son and retrieve all the work. And when you first hear the story, you think, well, she's an awfully horrible witch goddess mother. But she understands that it's her magic, and she is responsible to contain it. She can't just let Awen loose in Guianbach. He wouldn't possibly have the parenting to understand how to deal with it. He wasn't her child. He wasn't a child of the mother of the bards. So she had to contain him. But now that she has ingested him,
Oh gosh.
she also contains Awen. So now
It becomes not a seed anymore, but a seed of life.
she
And
becomes
Caradwin herself
pregnant.
is pregnant.
But this means that Caradwin also knows all that ever was, all that is, and all that ever shall be.
So she can't bring herself to rip her baby limb from limb, but also knows that, Awen is a gift to the world that somehow has to get out there. So she wraps up her babe in swaddling clothes and wraps him and puts him in this little coracle. Ooh, where have we heard something similar
Sounds
to
awful
that?
lot like Moses and the bulrushes.
Oh, I don't know. Isn't this interesting? And sets him out.
Wasn't Moses some kind of prophet too?
Oh, could be. I don't know. Where does all this fun stuff come from?
Who knows?
Well, it should happen that he's adrift for another period of, what some say, 40 days, which could actually be 40 weeks, which is, curiously enough, another gestational period. So eventually he turns up in this weir, and what no, comes along, you know, thinking this is the weir where we've got all sorts of salmon, and every year we go there around, you know, May Eve, and this fun time when the salmon are absolutely streaming there, and we come back, you just throw them on the cart, we've got so much, and he goes there, and instead of tons of salmon, he has this weird little baby in a coracle. And he peels him back, and rather than the kid crying and yelling and all that sort of stuff, he proceeds to sing his praises and tell him how amazing everything is. And
it is now Taliesin, the
the
radiant
radiant
brow.
brow. Yeah. We could go on with the story for a long time. For example, what happened to the cauldron? The cauldron, when everything that was left, when all of the good has come from it, turns into total toxicity, and the cauldron burst
and
asunder.
killed all kinds of horses.
Yeah, there was a major environmental spill, should we call it?
And it killed horses, which are the sovereignty of the land. So, I mean, yeah, there's tons and tons of details, but this is a good
correct.
Oh, sure.
We should maybe.
So this is our version of Caradwen, sculpted by Joe Ladaddy, who lives in New Paltz. And you can see the crested hen over here. And there's a whole video just about this statue in the Broom, which is one of our teaching classes things on YouTube. The Broom you can look for. And here's the white sow, because this is how she appears in the story of Llay Llawgafus.
Yes, the
And she
fourth
has
branch of the
a
noble
wen
line.
on her bodice, and she has this symbol in her hands where she's making the triangle of manifestation, but it's also something that the Druids...
Oh, you could tell that story if you feel like it.
Oh, yeah. So, Joe...
She's quite beautiful.
I meditate, and I ask the deities what they want on their statue, how they want to be. So this is the first statue we were making, and I knew that we wanted the hen, and I knew that we wanted the sow, and, you know, that her hood should be up and all these things. And Joe said, well, how is she going to hold her hands? So I said, well, give me a minute. And I went and I meditated, and she said like this. So that made sense to me, because we would use that triangle to reconcile opposites, or to bring harmony, or to manifest. You know, like we might concentrate on a candle or a crystal, you know, to magnify in the pyramid, to magnify our prayer, our intention. So the first time Christopher comes, he's talking about the sacred grove and Caradwen, and he says, and she reaches her hands back to collect all the energy of the trees and brings them forward over her cauldron. We looked at each other and said, I guess we got that right. So,
I just love the way this weird
it's
crap
just been an
happened.
amazing journey, and the best is yet to come, I'm sure. We will have Celtica, celtica.org.
Oh, so mote it
If
be.
anybody's interested in that, you can head on over to celtica.org. And we
Please
want to
do.
have a museum there where we teach the mythology of all the deities,
And more importantly, I think, learn to get back in harmony with the land. I
well,
think this is
by
the issue.
understanding their jobs and
By understanding the nature of nature,
Yeah.
which is what mythology is all about. To understand the nature of nature, and curiously, we come full cycle, which is what we're supposed to do anyway, as to why Easter is so important and why it is based on that. What is Easter about?
what's a
Well, it's-
basket of eggs and a bunny have to do with the resurrection
why is the
of Christ?
moon so closely associated with Easter? You know, but it is. I mean, they'll say, "Oh, the moon has nothing to do with it." Well, the
Cycle of a woman, 28 days. Cycle of the moon, 28 days.
yeah, but Easter is based on the moon, but the moon following the equinox, and it really has to be following. It has to come after, not before. Okay?
Right, so you'll notice if it's on the same
on
day,
the same day.
the equinox and the full moon once in a while are going to fall on the very same
I
day.
think they did a couple of years ago, actually.
They move it. It has to have that gestational period. doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it has to. And the whole coming out of the tomb kind of thing, you know? This is, and how reminiscent is it of the story of Taliesin, you know? How reminiscent is it of the story of Llay, you
The
know?
radiant one, the radiant brow.
It's the mythology, it tells us of our it's how we explain, the nature of nature in a way that we remember it. I mean, if I tried to tell you now, define an ampere, I mean, let me see. I heard this when I was at...
What?
An ampere, the unit of current?
No.
Yeah, an ampere is that current which passed between two conductors of infinite length and negligible circular cross-section exerts a force of 1 Newton meter per meter length. Yeah, that's 1 ampere. All right, I remember that. I don't know why, probably because I needed it for a physics A level, but it's like... Yeah, no. Mythology's easy to... Look how beautifully the story of Caredwin falls off your tongue, and the nature of it, and the fact that there is a narrative. I mean, as part of our work, individually and collectively within our group, we read lots of stuff. There's one book we're working on at the moment that, whilst very good, lacks narrative flow and is difficult for a lot of people to try and get into. Whereas mythology is all about the narrative flow. And moreover, it's self-preserving. It's self-preserving because there's the narrative spirit.
And there's the narrative spirit that kind of calls you into bardic flow, where
absolutely.
you tell the story yourself, and the more you tell the story, the more you see in the story, and the more you'll know the story. So think about it. Think about those medicines, right? Hare, greyhound, salmon, otter, wren, hawk, seed, hen. So
wild stuff, innit?
Yeah.
Wild stuff, but it is the very nature of nature. The chase of the animals goes through the 3 realms of, earth, sea, and sky,
Yeah, land, sea, and sky.
Land, sea, and sky.
Elemental 4 elements there. There's definitely 7 planets with the 7 characters, 7 chakras with the 7 characters. And we thought, since this story started with a rabbit and ended with a hen, it was a pretty good one to connect with this time of year.
Oh, but it is around this time of year anyway, isn't it? It's just an amazing... life is just amazing if only we have the eyes to see. If we care to look just a little beyond ourselves, and really dig into the nature of nature, it's quite fascinating. It really is. And there are energies at work. There are energies at work that we cannot quantify, we cannot measure. We think, see it with your own eyes. I can assure you there's a lot more in other creatures' visible spectrum that isn't within our visible spectrum. Cats can see things we cannot see.
Dogs can certainly hear things we can't hear.
And smell things we cannot smell, So we rely on our own senses, but our own senses are...
Very limited.
It's just... One of my elementals tells me there's a trouble with you humans.
Your perception
is so limited. And it is. We
All right, so we forgot to pull card for the week last week. So
better do one now, eh? Better do one. What you got?
I don't know, I didn't look.
All right.
Oh.
It's at 5s. 5s can be a struggle, and I think this is quite an interesting one.
Well, I think this week is going to be entertaining with Dark Moon and Pisces, for sure.
Yeah, there's
well, look how pathetic and sad they look.
There's a lot of drama here, isn't there? There's oh, woe is me. Oh, woe is me. But there's light shining through that window. It's okay. It's okay. You've just got to find yourself... be careful about... My advice to you for this week, be careful about wearing the badges that you think other people want you to wear.
Yeah, don't let them pin it on you.
Yeah, don't let people pin it on you. Be proud, chin up. Take a deep breath. Woosah if you need be. But move forwards with purpose. Don't allow what you think others think of you. I know that's a lot. Don't allow what you think others think of you to affect what you think of yourself.
All right, my reading, I think this week is going to continue to be very strange weather, up and down, warm and cold.
Fire and ice.
Yeah, and I think that by the time we do get to the new moon, which I think is Friday. No, it's the 1st, whatever day that is.
I can look real quick.
By the time we get to the new moon, I think things will be shaping up a little bit better. So even though you might feel like you're adrift or that you don't absolutely belong where you are or whatever, try not to let your worries overtake you. Focus on the positive and manifest for yourself something positive and good, right? Think about what it is you want to start anew on the new moon. Put your energy there. All right.
I think it is the first, but I can't tell.
Yes, it's the first. I know it's the first. I just don't know what day of the week the first is.
Oh, okay.
That's the issue. All right. So thank you all very much. Don't forget to check Tarot Talk tomorrow. We have Tarot Talk Tuesday. And we'll be live Wednesday night with readings. And you never know. You might see a box opening or two.
Oh, yeah. We've got stuff coming in. I've actually got to chase down a supplier today. That reminds me because the order's gotten adrift. So. All right. Right. So,
It's our admin day, so.
Where are we up to? I think the next one is the Lovers, isn't it? 6? Is that where we're up to? I think we are.
Oh, yes, I think we did the
Hierophant. Yeah, I think we are because we've just done the Hierophant, didn't we? So next one's going to be the Lovers. The Lovers, baby.
The Lovers.
Oh, look, lots of people saying hello.
Thank you again for your space.
Ooh, love me some box openings. We love the box openings too.
Oh my gosh, we just have so much stuff. We have more merchandise in the store than we have ever had in the history of the shop. And we are coming up on our 29th year in business.
In May,
May will be our 29th anniversary, and we have more stuff in there than we've ever had. We have so much amazing jewelry. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful jewelry.
Gorgeous.
And we got in little $10 pendant points.
Bargain.
We have $5 hearts and $10 bracelets, right on up to, $1,500 Moldavite pieces. So there's something for everybody. Tons of books. We have a really lovely selection of gardening and herb books for you to, make a plan and decide what kind of witchy, wonderful herbs you're going to buy. And speaking of witchy wonders, this month's Witchy Wonders is a wonderful magnetic copper bracelet. So you might want to join that. You never know.
There you go.
All right. So I've spoiled your surprise, but,
Hey, but whatever. It's something to look forward to, though,
well, thank you all very much.
Thank you so very, 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 very much. We're going to just, lots of people we didn't say hello to. We should probably say hello to everybody. Wendy, Amber, Savannah, Brenda.
Lori, Donna, Gilda, Michelle, J.A., Miranda.
Miranda wants to spend loads of money. We won't stop you, Miranda. It helps us keep a roof over our head. And Donna loves the box openings
they're fun
too.
because you just never know what you're going to get. Life's like a box of chocolates.
No, keep me off the chocolates. I'm trying to lose some, not gain some. All right. So listen, guys, thank you so very, very much. It's been a joy and a pleasure, and we'll see you tomorrow for Tarot Talk, and we'll see you on Wednesday for our live readings. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Have a beautiful day. Be blessed.
Peace.
Be well.